don't know where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We touched down from a higher plane. Why you made it here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the warfare.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by betonline.ag. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BLEAV50, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Hey everybody, welcome to the Chief Concerns After Dark, a post-game show after, wow, look at you, your cigar there, buddy. You feeling pretty good after that nail-biting win, huh?
Marcus, listen, this is something that we should be used to by now, but, I'm going to relish a little bit tonight because this is what we would call a long time coming. We've been hearing all offseason and then during the regular season that this team or this quarterback was going to take down the Chiefs or take down Patrick Mahomes. And yet here we sit with 7 games to go. The Chiefs now have a 4-game lead on their division. And they're about to clinch. Essentially, they already did. Clinch their 7th consecutive AFC West. So, although this is something we do now, we don't storm the court. We don't storm the field when we do these little victories like this. It's always nice to bask in this every once in a while. We've heard nonstop rhetoric all offseason and all regular season about what this team's not going to do without Tyreek Hill, or that the defense is too inexperienced, or that Patrick Mahomes has been figured out. Marcus, I'm enjoying tonight, baby. I don't know about you, but I feel really good.
Oh, I'm on top of the moon. Actually, besides the subject of us winning, because of the Chiefs game, I ended up winning $5,000 on $100 because of betting this weekend. So pretty excited about that. I was very close to cashing out during that game, but when you know Mahomes with 2 minutes left, you just know Mahomes. I mean, he's the guy. So for everyone who's joining us, maybe for the first time, our legendary tight end Jason Dunn will be joining us. JD will be on soon. But gotta say, that game, there's a couple questions that came away from this. One, Mahomes did it without his top guys. Juju out. MVS may as well have been out. Juju out, Hardman out, Tony out. Am I forgetting? Did I say Hardman already?
Yeah, Hardman's out. Tony essentially was out for 2.5 quarters.
Yeah, I was expecting a lot from him, but man, Tony being out really opened up the fact that Sky Moore, who a lot of people have been really shitting on, just because his punt, that's the thing, people have been shitting on him because of his punt return abilities. It has nothing to do with his abilities as a receiver and grasping the playbook and as a rookie coming in and doing his thing. He looked amazing. And I mean, I don't think we win that game without Sky Moore. I mean, that grab he had when he dove down, which I thought they bounced on the ground when they showed the replay when it was close up on him, just it touched his face mask. I mean, he showed why we drafted him tonight. Justin Watson doing his thing per usual. The tight ends, I know JD will come on here in a little bit to talk about the tight ends, but the tight ends, man, Noah Gray's just coming to his own. Jody Fortin, catching balls outside of just the red zone. So we're actually utilizing him all over the field. And then Kelsey, I mean, I was wearing the jersey tonight. I wore it last show. I mean, you can't. I mean, he's unreal, man. I mean, it's like we're so lucky to have Mahomes, but then we're just so lucky to have Kelsey as well. And I'm sure JD will talk about the tight ends at length. But this show, is chief concerns. We do prop up the concerns that we see out there. And Nick Bolton was not one of them. His 2 penalties, those were concerns, though. I will say that. 3rd and 18 is the one that's gonna haunt me. It would have haunted me for a long time if we had lost that game. But 3rd and 18, single high safety. Thoughts?
Yeah, this is the stuff that I talk about all the time. I know people think that I just want to come down on Spagnuolo, but I don't. I actually like Spag and respect him a big amount. The problem, though, is that Spag does this continuously. And you saw people on Twitter talk about it, that whenever it's 3rd and forever, or as I like to call it, 3rd and eternity, Spags leaves that single high safety, and we know what the opposing offense is going to do. They're going to throw the ball downfield, and at worst, they get a penalty for a rookie cornerback trying to hold on to the receiver that just burnt them. Joshua Williams did everything he could on that play. The problem is, once again, you're going against a skilled veteran receiver that knows how to get open in plays like that. And when there's no coverage over the top, no protection, no help over the top, far more times than not, your guy's going to get burnt, and that's what happened. Sure, the victory makes it seem less of a problem, but it's still a problem because we're seeing this time and time again in the Spagnuolo era, and I don't understand what he's processing. I would love to hear him explain that, because unless you have a lockdown corner like Pat Surtain or a Sauce Gardner or guys like that, and even that's risky, but you don't have that guy. No offense to the guys that the Chiefs have, but these guys aren't that. And to me, I feel like you set your guys up for failure far more often than not when you do things like that. So I did not agree with that at all. It was a great play by Herbert, great throw, great catch by Keenan Allen, but the opportunity should never have been there to begin with. Herbert should have had to check that ball down because it was locked down with a double coverage, and then he would have to just try to settle for whatever they can get on 4th down because you knew they would have had gone for it. So I would have much rather that scenario. It's just something that Spags just can't get out of his way. I love the fact that the play before, he drew up a perfect delay blitz on Willie Gay. No one saw that coming. No one saw that coming. That was a great write-up. But right after that, man, it's just like he just takes 2 steps forward and 15 steps back, and it just doesn't make any sense, man.
Yeah, I mean, overall, like, seeing that, and I will say, coming out of the halftime, I mentioned the last time we played on Sunday Night Football, I tweeted, we came out, first half, we looked like dog shit against Tennessee. Henry was just dominating us. Second half, we make adjustments. They had like 10 yards against us total in the second half. Tonight, same kind of deal. The first 2 drives, they had 5 play. We got 1 first down that first drive, and then they punted it. And then there's 3 and out again. So for second half, all in all, Spags had an amazing game plan.
Yes.
That 3rd and 18 was the one that kind of, you bat an eyebrow to that. But it was the most sacks Herbert's ever had in a game. He's ever taken in a game. So 5 sacks from our guys. I mean, and I think with this game, I think we surpassed our sack total from last year, I believe, right? Because we had 31 last year. Now we have 32.
32, and then we had 29.5 sacks last season for all 17 games, man. They have 7 games to go.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, yeah, I would say personnel, obviously, as far as edge rushers has gotten, is better than it was last year. But, man, I mean, talk about what you saw from the edge rushers tonight, and that ability. Second half, at least. First half, really not so much, but second half, the ability to kind of create the pass, the pressure to kind of have to do something with their offense and have them have more 3 and outs than they did in the first half.
Yeah, I'm going to give some credit to a friend of ours, a colleague actually, Lexi Osborne from Kingdom Queens. She had a great tweet a couple of days ago. I mentioned this on my show on Saturday. I'm going to mention it again on here. She said that Carlos Dunlap has been far more effective than even what Melvin Ingram was, and we all loved Melvin Ingram when he was here. It's the truth, man. Carlos Dunlap has brought so much veteran juice to this team because that was the biggest concern for me personally, and I know a lot of Chiefs fans, probably yourself included, Marcus, going into this season. What is the pass rush really going to be about? Is it going to be Chris Jones and a bunch of guys? Sure, Karlaftis has promise, but we all know that rookie pass rushers, it usually takes them a full year, sometimes 2 years to really become what they end up becoming. Karlaftis has looked incredible. He's getting pressures left and right. He's not getting sacks, but he's getting pressures. He's making life difficult for quarterbacks to where they have to respect his side of the ball wherever he's lined up. When it comes to guys like Carlos Dunlap and Mike Dana, who, by the way, I think they need to get a DNA test because I'm pretty sure he's Justin Herbert's dad. Because he is just constantly punishing this dude for whatever he did, in his childhood. Maybe he just stayed out late or just disrespected his curfew. Regardless, Mike Dana punishes this man every time he plays him. And it's just unbelievable what we saw out of him. And you could tell the Chiefs have been missing Mike Dana when he was gone for that extensive period of time. When he had, I think it was a hip or calf injury. I forget what it was. But he was definitely missed. He showed up in a big way tonight. The blitz packages were incredible. That's the one thing that I will never knock Spag on is he knows when to dial up blitzes. Sometimes he likes to hit them a little too often, but when they work, man, they are effective as hell, and people respect him for that, myself included. And I think that the edge rush, when it mattered the most, when they really needed the guys to step up and make a play, more often than not, they made a big play tonight, man. I got to give the defense a lot of respect. I gave them a ton of respect on my show on Saturday. I talked about how against the Titans, against the Jaguars, although Patrick Mahomes was glorious down the stretch, and he was glorious again tonight, and we could talk about him. It's the defense that's solidifying these things because once you think the game is going to get out of reach, they make a big stop. Nick Bolton bopping that ball out, making things happen for the offense, giving them second life because the offense, for whatever reason, as talented as they are, they find themselves in these lulls where they'll go 2 or 3 drives where they just don't do anything, and it's frustrating as hell. But the defense has been stepping up big time. That's credit to Spagnuolo. That's credit to guys like Chris Jones, in my opinion, is the defensive player of the year so far.
100%. We talked about that last week. We're going to get our guy, former Chiefs tight end Jason Dunn, coming in here. JD,
What's up?
You can tell our guy over here celebrating like he just got his new
I see.
cigar.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the way to do it. Doing it right there, Lance. Now, best way.
How are you doing, my brother?
I'm good, man. I say, looks good. Looks
Look,
good.
I just told Marcus I don't want to take this over, but Marcus like, oh, he's got a little celebratory. For me, it's simple, man. You heard it just like I did. You heard it just like Marcus did. All off season, all season long. We heard about this team or this quarterback taking over the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. It's this team's time to shine. The AFC West is the Chargers. The Chiefs are going to take a downfall because of losing Tyreek Hill. They're inexperienced across the board. And what did we see tonight, Jason? We saw the Chiefs just clinch their 7th consecutive AFC West championship. So it's a beautiful thing, man. I'm living it up. I'm basking in this, and there is nobody else I'd rather be than you with you two gentlemen right now to talk about this glorious victory that we just had at SoFi Stadium.
Yeah. Oh, man. It was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It was one of those things, a hard-fought battle, no question about it. We knew it was going to be like that going into the game. It's anytime you play a divisional opponent, it's always going to be a hard-fought game. And I always tell people this all the time. Like when I'm on fantasy, everybody looks at me. They play in a Super Bowl when they play me on fantasy. So that's how the Chargers look at, the Chiefs, man. They got to bring their A game as much as possible. They brought all the guys back from injuries, Keenan Allen and, Mike Williams, try to get those guys back healthy and, see what they could have done. But, at the end of the game, man, they didn't have enough. And so anytime you put the ball in PM15's hand in 87, things are going to go well for you. And so it was incredible. Just that last drive, you just kind of knew I knew what was going to come down to. I think a lot of people didn't have a doubt. If you did, then I don't know what you're doubting. I don't know what what you're worried about. Really, I mean, shoot, the guys this all across the board on offense just showed that they was able to come in and put everything on their shoulders and make things happen. So that was a great thing. Seriously, it was.
JD, so obviously there's a lot of good in this to talk about in this game, but there's one thing I wanted to ask you about that's getting a lot of attention. I noticed it. Shannon Sharp tweeted about it, and everyone was tweeting about it. 3rd and 18, single high safety. What are your thoughts on that play call when they converted that 3rd and long?
I mean, like I said, man, it's one of those things. What are you going to give up? I think Joshua Williams had, the way he played it, he was trying to put him on his hip. He was trying to feel him. I thought he did a good job. But Kenny Allen just made a play. I get it. Like if you play over the top, which you of course after that happens, is like, man, I wish you had somebody over the top, right? So yeah, there's validity in that. No question about it. But hey, bottom line is we ended up making more plays than they did and winning the game. So we can always go back. Hey, 3rd and 18, I get that point of it. I think, you're looking for, because I could have said the same thing, like, well, how come it wasn't any type of pressure? There wasn't enough pressure up there that you could have got Justin Herbert, to, throw a errant ball or whatever, wobble out of his hands, or I just didn't see enough pressure on that play in itself from the inside. I think I was kind of tweeting about that all night, about just having a little bit more, angst up top, man. Like in the middle, just needed just a little bit more firepower. And Chris, of course, at the end of the game, man, Chris is spectacular as always. He's just always spectacular. But sometimes you just want him more from those guys on the inside. And I think, with the running game, what they were doing against us, sometimes when Bolton make the play down the field, you could see, Nandi and Saunders, kind of getting driven off the ball. I just, to me, I'm just like, oh, well. But, Chris came up big, 3rd and 18. Like you said, going back to it. True. Hey, man, the guy made a play.
Yeah. Okay, so we talk about our, being down our 4 receivers, and you and I on our show this week, you said we talked about the receivers, Tony stepping up, Sky Moore possibly stepping up, but you were like, keep an eye out for those tight ends there. I mean, right out the gate, we saw Noah Gray getting Jody Fortson getting involved right out the gate. Talk to us about what you saw from the tight ends today, and of course 87. But talk to us about what you saw from the tight ends today.
Oh man, come on, the group skyscrapers in cleats. Right, that's Lance's. That's how we say skyscraper and cleats for my man Lance right there. I mean, those guys were phenomenal. And like I said, look, we sit there talking about who we don't have. How about we talk about who we do have? And so we can never leave out the equation of having Jody Fortson and Noah Gray, and then of course the great Travis Kelce. I mean, those guys, did a tremendous job, not only just catching the football, but also blocking. I mean, they did like going down the field block for Travis. Travis scores 2 touchdowns. If you look at who's leading both times, it's tight ends blocking for him. That's what it was. And so, man, they did a tremendous job. Jody coming out there making a catch on the slant right off the gate, then catching the one down the sideline, stretching out there, Stretch Armstrong getting the ball.
Look like Gronk there. That was a Gronk-esque catch.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But that's it's Jody. That's Jody doing it. So I don't want to bring Gronk in there. Jody's his own guy. Okay, he plays his own game. All right, that's Fortson out there doing his thing. Okay, so, but he did, man. That's what you have to when you come in. It's all about how do you what's your contribution going to be, right? Is it you just kind of showing up, coming in and I haven't played in a long time, or I haven't gotten a couple of footballs. Now it's like, man, as soon as they call your number, you got to make a play, and they absolutely did that. Justin Watt, he did it. Watson came in, caught a couple of footballs. Sky Moore, we'd have never seen what he would have been able to do unless this situation with Cole Harbin and Juju being out, and then Tony going down, to actually see Sky Moore come out there. And I was saying that it's not, and I was talking about this earlier also too. I was just saying, like, look, we're not talking when we bring Kadarius Toney in. It wasn't about what Sky Moore wasn't necessarily getting or how he wasn't developing. He's still a good receiver. That's why we got him, as early as we did. And he showed it. He showed exactly, his development in the phase of where he is. And so that's what you look for, guys, especially in the NFL. When a guy goes down, how do you step up? How do you feel about a guy who's coming in, replacing those guys that are down?
Yeah, this is a game that I think actually goes all the way to the top as far as praise is considered, because of the fact that this game showed what Shaquille O'Neal always likes to talk about the others. This is a game of the others. You have your Kobe Bryants and your Shaquille O'Neals that win the titles, but you have to have your Derek Fishers and Robert Horrys to knock down the big shots. This is that kind of game. This is a Sky Moore game right here. This is an Isaiah Pacheco game. Because Kadarius Toney's been getting all this hype, rightfully so. We've been sitting here talking about how this guy's going to be special, and I do believe he is. But he goes down with a hamstring injury in the second quarter, doesn't do anything in the game, and it doesn't matter. The Chiefs still score 30 points. Now, Travis Kelce scored 3 of the touchdowns, sure. But when it came down to those big plays, like we talked about, the first 3 receptions went to who? Jody Fortson, Sky Moore, and Noah Gray. Like, it's the others. This is why this offense is so much better than it was last season, as crazy as that sounds. Because of the fact that you lose a Tyreek Hill, all of a sudden defenses have to sit there and wonder, where's the ball going to outside of Travis Kelce? But see, with the team now, you have literally 9 to 10 different options that Patrick Mahomes not only can throw to, but will throw to, and he throws it to him confidently. I mean, you watch Patrick Mahomes throw the ball. Go watch the game back. Go watch all 22. Do what you got to do. And watch when he throws the ball to Travis Kelce, and watch when he throws it to Justin Watson. It is the same type of zip. It is the same type of confidence that he's putting into that ball. And those are two different, significantly different players, both talent, production, everything. It's because Patrick Mahomes spent all offseason building with these young dudes, building with these new pieces. So even when Juju and McCole Hardman and Kadarius Toney and Clyde Edwards-Helaire all are gone, all get out, it doesn't matter. The offense still hums. It still does what it needs to do. And that is why the others that this team went and got this offseason are going to be the difference as to why the Chiefs lost in the AFC Championship last year and win the Super Bowl this year. Because the defense does what they do, like we've already addressed. They make these big plays in big moments. And then the offense does what they do, and it does not matter who's on the field. As long as 15 is zipping the ball to them, the plays are going to be made and touchdowns are going to be had, boys and girls. That's how it's going to go.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, that's the team goes as PM15 goes, right? And that's just the reality of the situation. And it's always going to be that, because he's the most dynamic quarterback out there in the NFL right now. And just during this time, man, he's just playing absolutely a high level football. And so, like Lance was saying, yeah, when of course Tyreek Hill takes his abilities down there to to South Beach, well, then they was like, oh, well, what's Patrick going to do? Well, the thing is, he's reading the defenses, he's making the throws, he's being patient with everything, all of his reads. That's what he's doing. So it was a great thing. Matter of fact, when you look at it, it's probably a great thing just for him, where he doesn't feel like he has to force himself to throw the ball down to Tyreek Hill, right? He's got a number of guys around him, capable guys to catch the football, who can get open, who have great hands. And so, as long as, like I said before, PM15 he's upright, man, Chiefs are always going to be in the game. They're going to be fine because he's going to be able to get the ball out of his hands. He's just such a competitor that you don't really worry about that as far as like being down in a number of points, regardless of what it was, right? Like I didn't even care. I think at a certain point where they were up and you thought about, well, they might go up like 10 or something like it was like, hey, Patrick he'll still go down and score, quick with the guys he got around it, right? And so the guys, they proved that. But I'm gonna say this: hats off to Andy Reid running the football.
Yes,
this week. Yeah. Hats off to that. Okay, because we seen it kind of stall out when he started kind of passing on first. It was like, wait a minute, hold on, man. Look, Pacheco's getting 9 yards of carry. Like, keep toting the rock, keep giving it to him. All the guys was running hard. CH came in, ran hard the few times he came in before he got hurt, right? And so I think the whole running back crew did an amazing job. Pacheco in particular. He still, he's not the best at pass blocking. We know that. He kind of got thrown out the club over there pass blocking. But, I think everything was good until the fumble by McKinnon, right? And he just, a veteran guy like that, you just don't expect it out of him to fumble that ball. Now, it was kind of shocking. But the guys, you know what? They regrouped. Defense went down, played like they needed to at least, trying to get it. You got the ball back. Patrick gets back. Let's go back down and go score. So, but yeah, man, we needed that. We need to reestablish that run. Like when I harp on how important the running game is to an offense, to a quarterback, to the receivers, like it all has to be in sync. And then when you come one-dimensional, it's tough. It's easier for a team to kind of tee off on you when they're doing it that way.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to say that was kind of what the heck was that? Sorry, there's some noise.
You got somebody celebrating with you. Somebody,
Tell them to hold on. You got important business to handle. Okay, you're hanging out with JD.
Yeah, that was odd. Yeah, there was one time when I was in local news, I was doing a live shot, and like I was this is off topic. I was doing a live shot, but all of a sudden, this like out of nowhere, it was a motorcycle that just reamed by me, and I'm in the middle of like talking to the anchor, and all of a sudden this thing like goes by me. I kind of get started. I'm like, what was that? I got killed for it on Facebook. All the local news viewers killed me for it.
I gotta find that clip.
No. It does exist online somewhere, but no, I think tonight, like, we talk about the other guys, right? And we talk about the progression of Mahomes through the years. If you think back to, I think it was like a second year. I think it was when we played the Colts on Sunday Night Football. It was the second year of starting, and we were down Tyreek and Watkins got hurt that game and didn't come back in. And we didn't really do much that game. I think we lost like 19-10 that game, but our offense looked horrible that game. He didn't have his top two guys. It was like, oh, this is what's going to happen when you don't have your top two guys. Fast forward to today, he didn't have his top four wide receivers, right, during that game. And, 20 of 34, 329 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a game-winning drive at the end. It just shows you the progression of what he's become, not being so reliant, like you said, JD, not being so reliant on one guy where, he's looking to his one guy, like Tyreek, being forced to throw the ball to him. Now he has a kind of – and also – a whole assortment of receivers and the depth he has now is much better than we had back then, because it was Tyreek and Watkins and then everybody else. Now it's kind of, distributed across the board with all those receivers. So, yeah, just seeing that from one Sunday Night Football game to another like a couple years later just shows the progression of Mahomes. And, it's
unreal. And you see a progression also in how Andy Reid is trusting the run game, because if you go back to that game as well, now there was context because Eric Fisher was also missing in that game as well. So Patrick Mahomes also had a foot injury he was dealing with. So there was a lot going on in that game. But you saw, I think the Chiefs only ran the ball like 15 times in that game against the Colts, and that was never out of reach. The Colts were only up, I think, by 6 the entire time. So that game should have been a lot different. You're seeing the progression as a collective in the Mahomes era, where they're starting to trust other people a little bit more. Because like we said before, man, it was, all right, it's Travis Kelce or it's Tyreek Hill, and then every once in a while you'll sprinkle in a Byron Pringle or a Demarcus Robinson. Now it's fluid. You have no idea who's going to lead the team in receiving, targets. Travis Kelce more times than not, but outside of him, man, you have no idea who the others are going to be, who's going to strike. Nobody outside of my guy. I'll give respect to my guy Mark Gunnels. He did call it. He said Sky Moore was going to have a game tonight, and he did. This was a Sky Moore game, but again, imagine trying to game plan against this defense each and every week. Imagine being the Rams coming up this week. How do you game plan? What do you do? You know what I mean? Like, it's that difficult to beat this team, man, and they showed it in full display tonight.
Yeah, and I think mainly, like you said, how do you beat this team? And it's always like, look, we can't let 87 beat us. He's still going to beat you. He's still going to make his catches. But like you said, the others, the guys around him, are performing, and so. That is such an incredible feeling to have, especially in the locker room, and the guys having confidence out there, which is just giving everybody, like you said, Andy Reid, the whole, everybody out there, the enemy, everybody sitting over saying, man, look, we know we can play now with anybody. We know that. So that's a great feeling to have. And so when you got guys holding the fort down until all your main guys get back, hey, that's what it's all about in the NFL. But what I like, though, too, kind of saying that is saying, well, like you said, the main guys, these guys that's supposed to be replacing them, these guys could be right there with them, right? Shoot, Sky Moore, like I said, he's first round pick, man. We know what we got in him. But man, I just loved it. I just loved everything that I saw out there offensively. I really did.
So you talk about the O-line play. We were able to run the ball today. And I think Chargers are second worst run defense in the league this year. So we exploited what many other teams have exploited. But what was noticeable was we were able to run the ball. And then that last drive, I think the entire game Mahomes was pretty tough. They were kind of getting to him. They only had one stack, but they were getting to him, kind of, roughing him up a little bit. That last drive, though, they let him have all day back there to do his thing. And that was what stood out to me. It was like, wow, like when it was time, like they let him do his thing. They let him have all the time in the world in that last drive. What did you see from the O-line play today, JD, throughout the entire game, and then also especially on that last drive?
Yeah, so throughout the entire game, I seen guys coming off the football hitting guys in the mouth. There was a lot of execution just coming out there, getting their hands on the defenders, and Pacheco finding the hole. And that's all you really need, especially in the NFL. Like, you should be there in a split second, right? As soon as you get the football, he should be gone. And that's what I loved about Pacheco, because Pacheco was hitting the hole hard. He was, if he make a cut, he's making a cut and he's gone, which should be in the NFL. It's one cut and go. And so, man, he just did a great job. But those guys are out there, they was absolutely blasting the defensive line. I thought it was a phantom call on Creed. Creed blocked the dude too well. That when they called him, make the holding call on him, I was just like, man, that was horrible. absolutely horrible. And then the same thing to Tony. Tony came up and hit him straight up. It looked like it faced up at him. So just bad calls. But they did a great job, man, coming off the football and just creating holes for him. The last part, it seemed like Patrick was trusting him more, staying in the pocket. Okay. Yeah. He was a little bit more patient. He was just like, okay, I can feel the collapse, but these guys are still holding up just enough to get the ball off. And I think it's what Patrick, he kind of settled in a little bit. Because, sometimes he'll sit back and get a little antsy, right? You'll start seeing him getting little happy feet start moving around. And it's like, oh, well, hold on. Like, just wait there for a second. There was one, Travis was open. And, Patrick just didn't give him enough time for him to get open. And he sat in the pocket, but he just kind of got a little happy feet and threw the ball. But it seemed like at the last drive, he just trusted the offensive line. He trusted the receivers. He just trusted everybody offensively to do what they needed to do, doing their job to make it right, to get them a chance to win the football game. And they did.
Yeah, I think people forget also, maybe not us here, and I know that a lot of Chiefs fans pay attention to this stuff very closely, but I think nationwide, a lot of people forget just the gauntlet this offensive line has gone through this year as far as facing defensive front sevens, how difficult it's been for them for the first couple of months of this season. And even tonight, even though the Chargers defense is not good, you still have a borderline Hall of Famer in Khalil Mack on that other side. And the fact the Chiefs are still over there playing makeshift with their right tackle position. They still don't have a starting right tackle at right tackle. Andrew Wiley's trying. King did a really good job last week. We talked about this. But those are fill-ins. And the Chiefs' offensive line still finds ways that, again, when the moments are at the apex, when they have to go and get one, these guys give Patrick Mahomes that protection. And it's time for people to start giving my boy Orlando Brown some credit here. I know people love to bag on him because he wanted the big fat contract, didn't get it. People said he hasn't lived up to it. I understand that. He has not played great. He hasn't played to the level that some people have expected. But my God, this guy has stepped up, and he's given Patrick Mahomes a lot of protection on that blind side over this last month. He has played a lot better than people are giving him credit for. And now we know Creed Humphrey's been an elite center. Joe Tooney is an elite guard. Trey Pancake Papa Smith is a nasty MF. But at the end of the day, those tackles have to show up. And that left tackle, Mr. Orlando Brown Jr. himself, the legacy player, has stepped up and made some big key moments and key blocks. He's not perfect, but I trust that dude, and I know Patrick Mahomes does as well. And they stepped up in those, like you said, Marcus, when they had to do it in that final drive, Patrick was sitting back there doing his taxes. He was back there drinking pina coladas, just scouring the field, who he's going to pick the poison with this time. And it worked to precision. And that drive could not have been more perfect. And it starts in the trenches, and those guys took care of business, man. It all starts with them. If it wasn't for them, we don't know if it happens. It probably doesn't, guys. And then we're sitting here talking about, well, let's see if the Chiefs can maintain the 1 seed. Let's see if they can maintain the AFC West. We don't got to worry about that now, fellas. It's all taken care of. It's in the bag.
Right. That's a fact.
Yeah, I know there's a couple things I wanted to touch on, but since we're talking about the offensive line, the offensive side of things, Tony got hurt. Hamstring injury, which he's battled through his entire career so far, short career, but that's what he's been battling. Harbin's out for at least 3 more games. And Juju will probably come back next week. So we're going to be out 2 guys. And I know this guy over here, Lance, big OBJ fan. Should we make a play at OBJ with the receiver injuries right now, or should we, based on what we saw tonight, are we fine with what we got?
Listen, JD, I'll take this real quick because I know you have a much more intelligent statement on this. But I will say this. If there was ever a time that they needed to go and make a move, it's now, guys. Because think about this. I had again, my guy Mark Gunnels on our show this Saturday, and he said something that I didn't really think about that much either, is that OBJ has been somebody that's been preaching a lot this season about playing on grass and how he is so against turf. The only 2 teams that have been on his list that have grass, natural grass on their fields are the Chiefs and the 49ers. So if you really think about it, if OBJ is trying to protect his knees at 30 years old while trying to contend and make a little bit of money here, I think this is the perfect place for him. And I don't need to redo the sales pitch here, but he's also now as close to a need as he would ever be in Kansas City. I don't think that he'll ever be a need here. He's a big want. But with Hardman going to be out for the next month, with Juju coming back from a concussion, we don't know the severity of Tony like you addressed. There's adding talent is never a negative thing. I know Jason playing back in his day. If they knew that they can go and add a Randy Moss, and I'm not trying to compare OBJ, I'm just saying if you knew you can go and add a really good wide receiver, if you guys knew you can add that to your offense, even though you had Tony, Jason Dunn, Eddie Kennison, Priest Holmes, even though you know you had your guys, if you knew you could add something that could be a difference maker, why in the world would you not do it? So I don't want to put words in your mouth there, JD, but I would imagine that'd be something to be like, hell yeah, let's get that guy on this team. That's the way I think the Chiefs are looking at this. I don't know. He might end up in Dallas, but that's a turf field, and I just can't imagine that OBJ is going to feel comfortable with his knees back-to-back ACL tears. He's going to sign up for that, especially if he's looking for a long-term deal, trying to play for a team into his 30s on a turf field. I just don't know if that's going to work for him. I'm just going by what he said. And what he's saying, it makes a lot of sense to come to Kansas City.
Well, I'll tell you this, okay, because I guess you could argue on either side of it. And this is how I feel about it, to be honest with you. You can go ahead and make a play for OBJ, but they're still projecting him somewhere in mid-December, coming out to play, right? And so he still had to learn the whole the playbook, get acclimated with all these guys, with Patrick and all of that. So I think tonight, if anything, I think it dispels having OBJ come in, to be honest with you. Just my opinion. I mean, seriously, because when you have Sky Moore come in, Justin Watson was able to do his thing. Travis is going, he does where he's always going to be the number one receiver. Then you got Jody and Noah doing a great job out there. MVS is still out there also too. So you got players. The thing is, Juju's going to be back. So these guys are going to be able to hold it down, I think, against a pretty decent secondary, but all, intents and purposes. I mean, really, pretty decent guys that you're going against. So I think it just showed that, the type of rapport that they have with one another, that type of chemistry that they absolutely displayed tonight. Bringing another guy in, I don't know if you necessarily need it. I just don't. So I'm just saying, okay, let's say Kadarius Toney's hamstring is not that severe. Okay, he's out 2 weeks, maybe, if he's doing that. He's able to come in, and almost like they had Keenan Allen tonight, right? So what you do is you look at how many plays he's going to play in a game, okay, not to re-injure the hamstring. So you can do that and put him on a play count. But the other guys, I name all the other guys around Patrick that he can get the ball to. So I just think, like I said, Juju's coming back. Hardman, he'll come back when it's needed. But I think with Sky Moore coming out, this coming out party for the day, I think, man, he's just a solid guy. He's a solid guy that you got. I think the guys kind of behind him also too. We were talking about Powell being up there, Cam. I mean, it's guys. We got guys. We got guys that can play. And so, like I said, PM15 is going to be able to get the ball to anybody that's out there right now. But I think we got capable guys. Like I said, Justin Watson, he had 3 for 67. Sky had 5 for 63. MVS, he only had 1. I think I see somebody was on the comments talking about MVS falling down every time. I just think he's just he didn't really stand out, but he's still a guy, right? He's a guy that you could hit him for 3 or 4 catches if you need to. So I don't count him out. I don't. You bring him here, for him to fill a role, and I think he'll be able to do that if you need him necessarily. Tonight you didn't really need him. You didn't need to, So, but yeah, I just think OBJ. I think it's the name. Everybody likes the name. Everybody likes the catches. OBJ and right, and it sounds great, and I get it. I get that part of it, man. But I don't know. Those dudes kind of showed out tonight, and I like to give those guys their due. Right, I really do. I like to ride the hot horse and go with Sky Moore, Justin Watson, Travis, and I said Fortson out there, man. I like that. I like that combination. I do. And if we're running the football effective like we are with Pacheco, and now it seems like we have no choice but to have Rojo go ahead, right? He's gonna have to dress now, okay? Because CEH is gonna be out, so he might be that other guy that you need. It might be the two-handed monster that's going to run the football effectively, right? So all that helps. All that helps offensively. Seriously.
JD, if our guy Rojo gets called up, man, I'm going to send you the biggest bucket of mac and cheese you've ever had in your life, man. I'm telling you right now. And you're going to eat the whole thing. You're going to eat the whole thing on the post game.
Hey, man, I'm going to send it right back to you. Yeah, no, seriously, man. Look, Pacheco running as hard as he did tonight. We see McKinnon because McKinnon was a little banged up, and I was just like, okay, if one of these guys go down, not saying Pacheco can't, he couldn't shoulder the responsibility, but if you have another guy that runs hard like that, man, come on, shoot, you're gonna give everybody headaches on defense. So,
yeah, I will say, Rojo. It would be interesting, if McKinnon is banged up and then no CEH, and you got Rojo and Pacheco. Those are two guys who really aren't pass catching backs. So that'd be kind of interesting to see what happens with that. I mean, if McKinnon is banged up at some point, and if CEH is out for a long term, if they go get somebody, or maybe maybe get Tony to play in the backfield a little bit, or Sky Moore to play in the backfield a little bit.
No.
Not to run the ball. I'm saying more so to have as a guy next to him.
No. It's swing passes. That's all you just give them swing passes. They catch a swing pass. I just maybe run down the field catching it over somebody is maybe the difficulty. But swing passes.
I think JD, if they don't have a quote unquote catch pass or a pass catching back available, because like I said, Rojo and Pacheco are more of a quote unquote bruiser style. That's when you want to play a little more 12 personnel. Wouldn't you agree? Where you have more of those tight ends available. That way you're getting that extra chip, because if you don't have the pass pro, McKinnon, guys like that extending those blocks, you want to play more Noah Gray, more Jody Fortson, like they did tonight. I saw them play a few 12 personnel snaps tonight. Maybe play more a little bit of that if you don't have Clyde and McKinnon, because McKinnon has been in there essentially two-play pass pro, where he's been protecting Patrick's blind side, giving extensions to Andrew Wiley, that added protection. If they don't have those guys, it's got to be 12 personnel pretty heavy, wouldn't you say?
I would say that, but I think I don't think we give them enough credit, for catching the passes, because there's obviously certain routes are different, what you want to do. So what you do is you gear toward what they're good at, right? I think a swing pass, it's just a pitch, pretty much. It's all it is. It's just a throw pitch, that you're giving a guy, and so you're not really asking, them to kind of run routes like you see. I don't know who would be. I'm trying to think about. Maybe like Kamara, doing things like he does. Nothing where he's just running down the field and one-on-one with the linebacker, kind of getting open. I think it's just more kind of swing passes, extended to the outside, things of that nature that you want to give them. But like you said, 12 personnel, no doubt about it, that you can necessarily do. But man, I'm telling you, if you run the ball effectively and you're just doing that, then I mean, you could pretty much do anything.
Yeah.
That one play with Derwin James though did show you that pass protection is that is one of his cons. It is one of Pacheco's cons. And he's a rookie, so he's got time to develop that and become better at that. But whoo boy, you got thrown out the club. He showed Derwin James his fake ID, and he didn't take it at all. Dude, he got him out of there fast.
Yeah, he's like, oh. It looked bad. Hey.
Moonwalking out there.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
The one thing I will say about Odell, and I know it's a popular name and stuff, but with the amount, and I know he wants a long-term deal, longer multi-year deal, so 2 to 3 year deal. You give him a 2 to 3 year deal, we're going to have a lot of these receivers on our team. Hardman's gone next year. That'd probably be the one thing I would say is like, oh yeah, it's a December signing, and we're happy with the guys we have now. But you bring him in, you sign him for a 2 to 3 year deal, you probably get a bigger discount than you would next offseason, where he's actually healthy again, and then people will actually be able to pay a little more for him. You get him now, about a 2 year deal. I think that's the one thing that kind of I'd like us to throw our hat in the ring for that reason alone, because we're going to have a lot of guys who are free agents next year, and you bring him in, he learns the offense a little bit this year. He might provide us something in the playoffs if he can, and we have him still in house for going forward. But that's the one thing I would say about OBJ.
Let me just say something real quick to that, because that's where I stand on it. To me, I've always said that OBJ to me is a playoff signing. He's a guy that you want to bring in to add, because you saw what he did just this last Super Bowl. That guy was on his way to being the MVP of the Super Bowl until his knee gave out. He comes in here not as a guy that's even going to be the wide receiver 2 more than likely. He'll be wide receiver 3. I feel very good about having OBJ's talents as my wide receiver 3. And again, when it comes to the long-term deal, I know that's what he wants. But more than likely, and maybe this will come back and I'll look totally wrong on this, so Freezing Cold Takes, pay attention to what I'm about to say. But I'm telling you guys right now, I don't see OBJ getting a long-term deal with any team that's going to contend. And I know that's what he wants. He wants to win too. So I just have a hard time believing he's going to get this any type of contract that's going to pay him any real guaranteed dollars over the next 2 to 3 years. So the Chiefs are a team that there's a lot of incentives for the Chiefs to go and get him for the rest of this year because they're not going to have to pay him a ton of money. And if he plays well, then they can revisit the conversation this offseason and say, hey, look, we really love this relationship we got with you. You know, we got a lot of money coming off the books this year. We got a ton of money available. We would love to keep you. If not, you showcased your abilities. There's going to be another team out there that's going to give you a 2-year, $34 million deal. That's not really in our price range. So either way, it's going to work out for him and the Chiefs if he comes here because both will benefit off the relationship and he can help them get to another Super Bowl and then he can go and get that Super Bowl tax added on because his back-to-back years of playing in the Super Bowl can get him another payday. That's the way I look at it. It may not happen. The Cowboys might go over there and just overspend on him, but I just don't see the market. And from people I've talked to that are in the know, they don't think he has a very rich market right now based on age, availability, everything that JD just laid out. That's why I think he's a perfect player for this team moving forward for this season in particular.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, that's what I think. You know, he's going to try to get that money. I do. You know, he's OBJ. I'm still OBJ. Listen, I want to win a championship. I do, but also too, I want to get paid for what I do as well when I come in. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I know Veach that joker's tight, boy. That joker, you know, he's looking to see how much money he got. He's looking at the wallet like, oh no. He might have something for you. I don't know yet. You know,
so you take Venmo or Cash App?
Yeah, right. You know, so that's the only thing with him. You know, so I'm not completely against OBJ being here. I'm not saying it. Shoot, if he wants to come here and he wants to win. And it works, like you said, for the Chiefs, you know, financially, shoot, you know, why not? Why not bring a guy like that? I mean, he's a talented guy. The reality is if he's trying to get paid, you know, some big bucks because of OBJ, I'd be like, man, you got 2 knee injuries. Like, you know, for real. Like, come on, man. Like, let's just be honest here. So that's the only thing. If he's willing to come in for the right price, absolutely get the guy if he can.
Yeah. And I think realistically, if we are going to sign somebody just to, you know, as a body with some of these guys are injured, I probably won't be OBJ. It'll probably be someone who's familiar with the system. I mean, it could be Josh Gordon, who's on the practice squad with the Saints right now. Could be that we could sign him off their practice squad. I mean, he knows our system.
Chris Conley's out there still.
Conley as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the other names out there that I could see us more realistically. So I think the Dallas thing, there was something to it. And Jerry Jones, talk about a guy who likes names. That guy likes names. So this is one thing that happened today in today's game that Harrison Butker looked like Harrison Butker again. And that's one thing in the last few weeks we kind of said like, oh, what's going on here? Is the injury still acting up? I know JD, you were like, give him time. You know, this guy's got a history with us. Give him time. So it was good to see him do his thing. Were you guys happy with his performance today?
Oh yeah, phenomenal. Just looking at it every time I was holding my breath, every kick he's like, yeah, there we go. Oh, Joker's back. I'm like, he's back. He's good. He didn't work it out his system. I told you, it may be just a little something he just needed to work out his system. I mean, he looked good today. He was flawless. So hey, hats off to him.
Yeah, it's funny.
You gotta leave him alone, man. You just gotta let that Joker be over the corner, let him do what he need to do. Okay, and let him just get on the bus. So
yeah, it's funny. It's funny you guys say that. I'm glad you brought up Butker because I do want to give him his praise for what he did tonight because he was absolutely nails. 3 for 3 on extra points, which is what I care about the most. Yeah. And then you look at the fact that this is what I love about Harrison Butker is that when he had that, I think it was a 57-yard field goal he hit early in the game. Like I knew that was going in. I actually didn't even watch it happen. I was over here doing my thing over here, getting ready for the next set of downs for the defense. I knew he was going to make it because that's what he does. That's why he's great. And that's why he's also frustrating, because it comes down to the extra points when he just shanks him to the right, shanks him to the left. It's so damn frustrating because you're like, those are the easy ones, bro. You got to make those. Those are the easy ones. We can live with you missing a 50-plus yarder because those are difficult. But he sinks those. And so I said on our show Saturday, because we always give out 2 key players for each matchup before the game. And my final key player was Harrison Butker. I said if he kicks his field goals tonight, the Chiefs are going to win the game. And what do you know? It's a 3-point victory. He nailed all of his field goals, all of his extra points. I think if there's anybody getting a game ball, I know Patrick Mahomes is going to get the praise, rightfully so. Travis Kelce, Nick Bolton, all these guys are going to be praised. We've been talking about it for 48 minutes now. But Harrison Butker is the guy that really did the dirty work, if we're being honest here, because if he had missed them, we're sitting here crushing him for it because the Chiefs probably lose the game. So we got to give him his props too, man. He had an incredible game, best game of the season.
Yeah, no, I think they should recognize him, no doubt about it. And they give him the confidence, letting him know that they ain't losing the confidence in his ability at all, too.
Right.
And that's very important, for a player, and especially a kicker, right? So, you always got to pat them guys on the back, man. Hey, man, how was your day today? It was good? Wonderful. Hey, let's have a great day tonight. How about that? We're going to have it? Just keep talking to these guys. So, hats off to him, man.
One of the things that sticking with special teams, the last thing I'll bring up here. So the kick return, that's been an issue that JD and I have talked about since going back to the preseason, and we just don't have it. I don't think we have a kick returner on the roster. It just seems like this week they said Tube said that they were going to try to get Pacheco off of kick return duties because he's taking he's having like 15 carries now a game. He's a bigger part of our offense now, so let's get him off of kick return. But that one that he took at the 6-yard line, he could have let that go or done the old go out of bounds and catch it trick. But what are we doing here with our kick return duties?
Frustrating.
Want some of this, JD?
Yeah, I know. Let me take that joke from me. Shit. I just sit back and just like, oh man, let me pause on this for a second. Man, you know what? It's just when you see it, you're like, no, like what are you doing? It was funny because the very first kickoff, I was like, I stood up like, hey, he let it go. Like he tried to return it. Like, oh, that's wonderful. I teased my brother, man, because he lived in Jersey and used to see him play in high school. So I always tease him about Pacheco a little bit. It's always good stuff. But there's got to be another guy. There has to be. I just for whatever reason, I don't know why they're not putting anybody else back there. You got all these athletes, all these DBs, and nobody can return the football. This is the best you got. Shoot, I don't know, man. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is by far the worst special teams under Dave Tobe since he's been here, and that's not knocking him because he's been incredible. So the standard is so high. Dave Tobe is widely considered the best special teams coach in the entire league. So the standard's always going to be really high. So if you're average or just right under below average, the criticism is going to be at an all-time high. Like when Patrick Mahomes had his struggles last season, everyone was like, oh, he's broken. The league's figured him out. No, he just had a slump, and then he got out of it, and he's been the greatest quarterback in the world since. So Dave Tobe is just I think he's kind of like what we talk about with Spagnuolo and how he's had this new rehauled defense full of young guys, and that's not really deep. That's not really his style. He likes to have more veterans out there. So this has been an adjustment for Spags as well. I think that's what's happening here also for Tobe, and I'm not making an excuse for him because I think he hasn't done a very good job this year in comparison to his previous seasons. I think they're still trying to find that mix, but I agree 100% because of the fact that Isaiah Pacheco is without question the running back one on this team. And I said before the season that by week 11, he would be the running back one because he just got supreme talent. Pacheco is such a talented player. He gets it right. He's going to get it right. And that's what's happened. So you got to take that off because furthermore, it's not even just about getting Pacheco out of it. It's about developing that next guy. And that is the problem, is the Chiefs don't really have that. If I had to pick a person, it's Mecole Hardman without question, but he's not available. So they're going to have to really, really configure this out, man. If there is, like you said, a defensive back maybe that has a past of returning kicks or punts back in his college days, getting him acclimated into that system, something's got to change because if Pacheco goes down, then what? then you're even more screwed because you're down 2 positions at that point. So they got to really figure this out quick. I'm trusting Dave Toub to do it because this dude has been incredible. He's been a legend at what he does, but I haven't been impressed so far, man. And I think the Chiefs definitely got to get this going because Jason, you know this better than we do, me and Marcus. Special teams can lose you games, especially in the playoffs. They can screw you over, man. So got to get this right now. And this stretch that's coming up against teams that the Chiefs should very much beat, this would be the time to really start experimenting and trying to figure that out.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about 3 phases of the game. You know, special teams is one of those phases. It's very important and it's vital to the success of a team. And like you said, we've seen it when we lost against Indianapolis. And other weeks, it's like, man, wait a minute, hold on. This is like starting to bite us in the tail, making things closer to what they need to be. But it has to be another guy out there. I don't know why they haven't tried. Maybe they tried in practice, and maybe I don't know. They're just not trying a guy right now. Well, they have what's his name? Is he still on the practice squad? I don't even know or not. Ely, is he still on the practice squad?
He was suspended for a little bit. I think he's off the suspension, isn't he?
Is he?
I believe he should be reinstated from that suspension. He got suspended around the same time Willie Gay did, so I'm assuming he should be back, ready to go.
Yep. So I don't know if he's been active though, but I do know he's back from suspension.
Right. So see, if you're sitting there saying like, okay, look, this is a guy that may be able to become, our kick returner and our punt returner. He can do both, right? He's just going to be that guy who shoot. And if he's filling in, like let's just say for CEH is going to be out, he could probably just do that. I mean, you still get your 2 backs that you need, to handle, the majority of other stuff out there. But even if he's just going to be your guy, that little scat back return guy, shoot, you might have to just use him, for those things in itself. So,
yeah, Ely's Ole Miss highlights are pretty fun to watch, actually. So I encourage everybody who's watching this to watch the Jaron Ely highlights from Ole Miss.
He's a real deal. Yes, sir. He's a real deal now. He can look. He can fly. He's a fast guy. He got some twitch in him too. Yeah. So, I know for a fact that that's a guy that they do have, there in the building they can use.
Yeah, he was no Dexter McCluster, but pretty damn good.
Yeah, bring up old 22, huh? I like it. Yeah. Those were fun times.
The Ole Miss scatbacks, gotta love them. So last thing, I just want to give props to a guy who was crapped on by one specific content creator, but I've seen other people dog him too. We talked about him on our show before. Nick Bolton dominated today. He had those two silly penalties. One which led to the awful kick return, and then the what do you call it? The roughing the passer, or was it the push out of bounds? Not roughing the passer, but unnecessary roughness. Yeah. So want to give props to Nick Bolton. What are you seeing of him? I think outside of Chris Jones, I think that's the MVP of our defense. I mean, he's an animal. He's awesome.
Yeah, no doubt. Whoever's hating on Nick Bolton, man, just don't like Nick Bolton. That's just a personal thing. I mean, to be honest with you,
It must be personal.
Seriously, man, come on. The guy's textbook as far as, man, technique-wise, what he's doing, how he scrapes the hole, how he just swabs it. Man, he does a tremendous job tackling, being where he needs to be. Like, he's Johnny in the spot. He gets the interception at the end of the game. That's one guy I don't worry about on defense at all. Nick Bolton. I don't care. If he messes up, I'm like, okay, that's all right. He'll make it up. I ain't worried about Nick. Not at all. Shoot, if he's as solid as you can get on a defense linebacker in the game, period. Seriously. Nick Bolton he's like you said, he's definitely, if not the second most valuable player on the defense. I mean, that's him, without a doubt.
Well, damn. I mean, I feel like I don't even have to say anything else because former Chiefs player right there, former NFL player just said it for me. I mean, if he's saying it, that must mean it's the gospel because as I recall, I was seeing people saying, hey, Chiefs fans may not like to hear this, but Nick Bolton took a step back this year. And as I recall, Nick Bolton going into this game was 8th in the league in solo tackles, fellas. And as I recall, I just saw Nick Bolton make the play of the game on the defensive side while the Chargers were driving on maybe an inevitable game-winning drive, and he bopped that ball out and made himself an even bigger legend in the Chief Concerns post-game show than he was previous. So I'm enjoying it. I'm over here smoking on this Chargers pack, a lot thanks to Mr. Nick Bolton over there.
True. Yeah, man. He just, when I look at on the tackles, his name is always at the top. I mean, as it should be. He's a stud out there on defense. I mean, what are you going to say? I mean, seriously, I just, taking a step back. I haven't seen that personally. Somebody say that. I would have probably went out like, man, you're crazy. Like, how do you?
I'll send it to you after the show. I'll send it to you after the show.
Yeah, send it to me. I'm just like, what? Like, okay, this dude must be smoking something different. You know what I mean? He's on something else. But yeah, man, Nick Bolton is. I mean, as solid as a guy you can get defensively, man. As a linebacker. I mean, he's a tackling machine, and he's like I said, he's where he needs to be every time. I don't worry about this guy at all.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've covered all topics for this one after that game, that nail biting win. So that does it for Chief Concerns After Dark. We got some exciting news. So Chief Concerns on Wednesday, we will be bringing back our guy, co-host, former Chiefs cornerback Eric Warfield. He'll be joining me and JD back on Chief Concerns. Long time coming, coming back on Thanksgiving, get our crew together for our Friendsgiving on Chief Concerns Wednesday night. So on Thursday, the episode will air on YouTube and everywhere you can get podcasts. But yeah, JD, myself, and Eric, the crew is back together. The band's back together on this week. So that's what we got going on for our show. Lance, what you got going on for the people for the Spoken Podcast?
Well, let me first of all say that I am so excited to hear that E-Dub is back. That just feels right. It feels like, I mean, the Chiefs being 8-2, top of the AFC West is great and all, but E-Dub back on the show, man, I'm going to definitely be tuning into that, guys. I'm going to take time to make sure that my family knows that I'm supporting them, and now that Eric's back, that's great to hear, man. I appreciate them being back. We are going to be business as usual on Saturday. 11 o'clock a.m. Central Time. We'll be discussing what just took place in this Chiefs-Chargers game while Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback who's ever lived. And I'm sure that we'll be able to talk to you guys a little bit more throughout the week about what's going on. But, man, we got a fun-filled show coming up, and I cannot wait to get to that. We're going to talk plenty of World Cup because, as we all know, that's going on as well. And our co-host, Eddie Ortiz, is big into that. But, man, we got a lot going on. And I know that you guys will be watching the Chief Concerns. So slide over on Saturday and come hang out with us, man. It's going to be a good time.
Awesome.
Sounds good, brother. Sound good. Well, listen, hey, you have a wonderful and blessed holiday as well for you and your family during this time. Hope everybody travels with traveling grace and get there. Don't eat too much, man. Mac and cheese. Keep it and let me know how it tastes, brother. All right?
I'm sending that bucket. I'm sending that bucket to you, man. You're going to enjoy every bit of it, too. I love you guys, man. I really appreciate you guys letting me be here with you guys. It means a lot.
Absolutely, man. Love you too, brother.
All right, well, have a happy Thanksgiving to all our Chief Concerns post-game viewers, and we'll be back next Sunday after the Chiefs game. So, Lance, happy Thanksgiving, buddy.
Happy Thanksgiving to you guys.
All right, brother.
See you guys. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get podcasts.